Hello, everybody, and welcome to Survivor with Jamie, Jack, and Colleen. My name is Colleen.
I'm Jamie.
And I'm the stupid kid on the piano.
I was actually shouting at that point. I was like, Schroeder!
Schroeder!
Do 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 do. I think he could do anything with that piano. Anything.
Yeah, it's like
And
a wizard.
I don't blame him for not liking Lucy.
Well,
She's
nobody
not very
likes
nice.
Lucy.
No,
Yeah.
she's just a bully.
Yeah, she's not a nice girl.
No.
Anyway, we are here this week, and we are going to stay on topic this week. I told Jay before.
We're going to do it.
I was like, the last
We're gonna
like
do
2
it.
or 3 weeks, we've just been like real sloppy. I think we need to just like talk about Survivor this week.
Taylor said she didn't hear the song. I didn't hear it either.
Oh, well, oops.
I thought it was my headphones. I don't hear it.
We're
That's
here.
weird
I
because
mean,
it picked up on it here. So,
Okay,
whatever.
that's all that matters.
That's all that it matters.
Stay on target.
So we almost just look crazy being like, doo, doo, doo. But in silence,
I felt
like,
like I felt like I was looking for an advantage hanging on a tree.
just kept missing it.
Couldn't
It's
figure
easy
it
to
out.
miss. It's easy to miss. It's because the camera guy's right there, right? There's a camera guy standing.
So
in front of it.
I think that what they do is they just set up cameras like in trees and in places where they're not like, intrusive.
I have there's been a few alum that have been making their edits on this scene and said that the camera people tend to, especially towards the beginning of the game, tend to really mess with these guys when they're out looking for advantages.
Gotcha.
And so they'll like zoom into places where it's not at, and they'll like just kind of like send them into opposite directions without saying anything, but like being like, oh, we're gonna get this tight zoom over here, and so everyone gets really into this idea that maybe it's in this direction. And
Gotcha.
so I think that might have helped distract
just like mess
them.
with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Did we need it?
Oh, go ahead.
Did we need a new advantage this late in the game?
No, but at least this one was fairly unoffensive.
Yes.
At least you had to make a
creative.
decision.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And it
Still,
paid off.
I still say it should come with this, especially this late in the game, should come with a punishment.
I
If
was
he
gonna
guessed-
say,
if he guessed wrong, he loses his vote.
That I
loses
like
his
that
vote.
too. Yeah.
Yep,
That
that's
would've been a
okay.
really
I like
great
it.
It gives
addition.
you your choice. Do I want to even play it?
Yeah.
It's like, because I wouldn't play it. There's no way.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that actually the reward or the punishment. I like that too. But going back to the idol hunt, which first of all was amazing how they're all sitting there. So Zachary and I went to the watch party again last night, and it was cool because at one point Jesse FaceTimed Carla, so all of us could. It was after she won immunity, and everybody was cheering, so we FaceTimed it so we could all like clap again. And then at the end, I was like, "Now you have to FaceTime Sammy!" I like shouted it. And he like gave a thumbs up, and I think he had his phone out to make a call, but I guess he must not have answered because nothing ever came of it.
Tonight. I'm not answering the phone
I'm
tonight.
not answering the phone tonight.
But anyway, I think that it was hilarious. So Zachary and I rewatched it right before we recorded because it is very difficult to hear when you're in that situation, like that setting,
Yeah.
and I'm incapable of being quiet in general, so I'm sure I ruined the watching experience for many people last night too.
Yeah, I bet it's difficult, and I usually have my volume like blasting with like the closed caption.
I
at
do
the
closed
same
captions
time.
too, so this didn't have closed caption as well,
Yeah.
so it was also kind of difficult to be like, oh man, I can't read everything they're saying.
I didn't watch it till this morning, and I was spoiled.
Well, anyway.
I read our chat.
So I spoiled you.
California.
I'm sorry.
It didn't matter.
So going back though, I thought it was hilarious that everybody just happened to be like watching the sunrise on the beach, like in a line, which I did not pick up on the first time I watched it last night. And then today I was just, they're like, look at that. Is that a boat?
Something's happening.
Something is coming. And I'm like, oh, that's why everybody's sitting there.
We all get up at the same time every day.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it is nice to see the sunrise and stuff. It is.
Sure.
It's
and
cool.
I would imagine, I don't have this on good authority, but I would imagine that about the time the sun starts to move in to the area, the birds start yapping, and there's probably not a lot of sleep to be had at that point. Anyway,
that's true. Yeah,
there is a good chance they are up in some fashion, but I like to imagine that the camera people are walking around just like kicking sand, like, sorry, maybe you should sit over there in a straight line and look at the sunrise.
Well, in the beginning, they had that snake going through. I said maybe they put the snake out there.
Yeah, and the snake got it.
That would wake me up.
There you go. Put a little bell around his neck.
Yeah.
Did they name that snake Sammy? Anyway,
I like when they said they just randomly ran in all directions. I go, you could be running completely the wrong way.
Right. Something's hidden in the jungle. Go.
I loved it.
So where I was
Nobody
getting at
way to go.
5 minutes ago when we were talking about this is I can absolutely 100% see how something that is hidden in plain sight like that is completely overlooked.
Almost harder to find than something that's
absolutely, because you look for the hiding places, but sometimes you overlook what's literally right in front of your face. And Elena has joined us in the chat.
Was like, the parchment was pretty darn close to the same color.
Not to mention, you're tired, you're hungry, it's getting to the end of the game.
Yep. Exactly.
I did laugh when Sammy walked right by it, and I go, he's looking right at it.
I can totally see that. So obviously everybody knows that I like to go geocaching, and we went to look for. So I was with a group of friends about a month or so ago, and we were in Wilson, North Carolina, and two of the people that were there was like, hey, we looked for this one, a month ago. We were here for over an hour. We couldn't find it. We gave up. Can we all look to get more eyes on it? And we must have walked around seriously for another 20 minutes before someone spotted it. And it was like a little bison tube hanging from a tree. It was not covered. It was not hidden. It was at neck level, so it wasn't even out of eyesight, but it was right there in plain view, and people just missed it for a total of, I guess, 90 minutes or whatever, of looking. It is sometimes that tough to see what is in plain sight.
You had to go with you had to create a lerp.
Oh my god, the lerping thing was hilarious. I totally missed that last night, so I was glad that I was like, did he just stay there going LARPing?
Is that like LARPing? What's happening? What's going on? What do you mean?
Oh my god, that was so fun.
I never served. I don't know.
Well, it didn't help him. It didn't serve him. That's for sure. He stared at it too. He was right there. He walked it basically slapped his face when he walked right past it. Nothing. Felt nothing.
Amazing. So it's supposed to be LRRP, Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol.
Yeah, well, it didn't work. It didn't work for him.
It was not a working, a whirlpin, whatever.
It wasn't a working lorpin. Time to go back to basic training, buddy. Start that one over.
So close.
I have to say that this actually was a pretty fun episode.
I really enjoyed it.
It was probably one of the better ones of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We got some, some funny mistakes, some easy funny mistakes that were made, and really, really great social gameplay. Mm-hmm. And hello, the challenge. That's the best challenge moment I feel like we've had in a couple seasons. Me personally.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And I mean, considering Noelle's last week, that says something, because that was pretty great.
Yeah, to outlast the tide.
I
It was 3
panicking.
hours. They were out there for 3 hours.
And the water was cold.
That's what. So Zachary and I just did a bonus show before we did this, which if you're a patron, you can go listen to it. But spoiler, we actually talked about how we would do in this challenge. And one of the things that I pointed out was I probably could be fine with the like being under the water and holding on itself part for, I don't know, 3 hours long. But, you know, I think that I would hold up decently because I wouldn't panic. But the thing that I cannot deal with is I cannot stand being cold. I cannot do it.
I'm trying to remember all my years in the beach, and I think it was once I was in the water, I could be in the water all day.
Yeah, but once
when I came out of the cold water,
yeah,
that's when I noticed it was cold.
But the water is if the water's cold and you're not moving,
yeah.
Well, you can, you know, you kick your legs, and they were. I mean, you're not swimming, but you're not standing still either.
Yeah, but you also have to conserve your energy. You can't kick your legs for 3 hours without like.
I know, but
you have to also maintain like I can breathe. You don't want to raise your like adrenaline and heart rate level where you need extra breath.
I think eventually you get used to the cold, but like I said,
Not
the worst part is when you get out of the water. It's like, oh my god, I'm freezing.
Not me.
And
I shiver in the water and out.
I think that you know, cold water, depending on what your tolerance is, but I mean, it could help some people. Maybe like it could possibly be a slight advantage of getting into that zone. I mean, this is a challenge that really requires you go into a mental, zone to handle it.
See, no, I think
but
I
don't think it would help me.
Bath water temperature would get me in that zone.
I don't think it could be 3.5 hours. I mean, that's a long time to just kind of just.
No. I was like, as soon as those swells started coming in, I started panicking just watching.
So did Elena. I had to get up and give her a hug. I was like, I'm your safe blanket.
My face was feeling hot. My eyes were watering. I was like, I cannot imagine doing this. Like, all it would take is one swell to hit me, and I'm like, I'm out. I'd be done. I don't care about the $1 million. Send me home. Like, I would freak out. So.
See, that's how I feel about cold, not swells. Cold. When they have like those,
there in it. Yep.
When they show the clips of the survivors in like the rainstorms and they're all like shivering, I think that very well could be like a thing that breaks me because I cannot handle.
It hurts
being
to be cold.
Yeah.
It's a painful thing, and the fact that some of them, the way that they like locked, I mean, it was great. It worked for them where they were like locking themselves around those bars. That terrified me. The only person I could watch in this challenge that didn't make me feel panic was Cassie, because she had her head like right up against the edge. So I knew if she had to drop out of the challenge or like swallowed a bunch of water, she could just like, she was like this close from getting out from underneath that.
See, now,
but everybody else being under it,
I'm sure there were plenty of
people around.
Oh, I bet there was a ton of paramedics and trained divers or whatever. That didn't worry me because I would feel like they would not do something where you can actually have death.
Plus, you had Jeff. I mean, for Carla, she had the best advantage because she was right next to Jeff the whole time, with Jeff talking to her the whole time.
She stayed perfectly warm. All that hot air kept her solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I loved the love you pros. I like that she got that in.
Yes.
He liked that she got that in there.
See, I think that Cassidy had the best strategy. And I say this just because I still sleep with my pregnancy pillows, and I really like just like the, the hugging. Like I feel safe, and I think that the way that she did it is close to how I would do it, where you have like everything just wrapped around because you feel safe and you can like squeeze.
Well, couldn't you time the swells? They're coming in, and so they're probably coming about the same amount of time. Just go under, take a breath, go under, let it go over, then come back up and get another breath, and then
because it seemed like a couple of them who went out, like when they got out, like Gabler, for instance, like you swallowed water. You could tell he swallowed water. Yeah. That's why he was out.
Yeah, and he was ready to
So if you were able to take that breath and get under the water before it came in, but some of those were really sticking around for a hot minute.
I mean, you'd have to time it, and you'd have to. If you're there for 3.5 hours, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's like every 20 seconds.
I don't know. The whole
don't
thing was just so, it was so hard for me to, it's like
I give them credit for, I mean, that was,
it's like the
I'm
shark
glad
cage, you know? Like it's like
yeah.
being in the shark. For me personally, if I would never get in a shark cage. It's not about the shark. The shark doesn't scare me. Being in a cage underwater, no, thank you. Like I cannot.
It would be the shark that would scare me.
Yeah, I feel like the shark has a level of danger, but that cage, something holding me underwater, being trapped in it.
The cage didn't do anything.
I saw
to
Jaws.
Stop Jaws. It didn't. It just he chewed that thing up, and that was a real shark.
I know how
that was a real shark.
Works.
A real shark came along and attacked the cage.
Well, I don't know. These guys were awesome, hanging in there for as long as they did. The endurance and the ability to not drown or panic in the process. Like I thought it was great.
The feeling is it feels like you are drowning.
Yeah,
it's like basically like being waterboarded. I guess
yeah,
I've never been waterboarded.
I can't imagine that. All of these guys were so excited to do this. You know, I think this is a really, like, if you're going to test yourself, this is one of the challenges to do that.
It's a great challenge, though. Like, seriously, it's a great challenge.
Going, 2.5 hours and not even being sniffing, not even being close.
Oh my God!
That hurts more. I can see why she was just.
She left at the 2-hour mark. The swells started.
God, she could be the double of the. I've said this the girl on Stranger Things. She looked. There's a couple of shots where she looked like.
She does. She really does. Which she has a lot of similarities.
And when she had that.
Wait,
look,
Robin or Millie Bobby Brown's 11?
No,
Nancy.
Not 11.
Nancy? You think she looks like Nancy?
No, the red-haired girl.
Robin. Ethan Hawke's daughter. Maya Hawke's character.
Max.
Oh, Max. Oh, Max. You think she looks like Max?
Well, yeah. There was a couple when she was pouting, when she was disappointed. I shouldn't say pouting. I go, oh my God, she really looks like her now.
Slap a pair of headphones on her.
Exactly.
She needs the headphones.
She looks like a little older version of Max.
Interesting.
Well, she's.
Thanks for telling us now, Kayla.
Thanks, Kayla. No, she. I don't know. She hung in there so long too, so I could imagine it would have been. I don't know. If you're hanging into a challenge, like anytime there's an endurance challenge, these people who are playing and they're in there for like an hour, 2 hours, and then I always feel the worst for them over anybody because it's like, God, you hung in there for so long for nothing.
I know that
for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you said that she was there for 2 hours.
I wrote down the timestamps as they were calling it out. Cody goes out at the 90-minute mark. Cassidy goes out at the 2-hour mark, and then at 2 hours and 45 minutes is when they cut back into it, and Jeff talks about the tide starting to drop. I don't know how much time elapses after that, and when he calls it officially.
I thought it was over 3 hours.
But it had to have been over 3 hours, because he notes he notes the tide. He starts talking about how the tide is they've never had players outlast the rising tides and swells of the ocean at 2:45. And then some more time passes, you could tell, but he doesn't say. I don't think he said it. And if he did, I didn't catch it.
I thought it was 3 hours, 15 minutes, but I could be.
Oh, okay. Then maybe I just missed it. I could be making that
up. I don't know. Maybe I just.
All I know is it's a really long time. So I did. Kayla agrees with you in the chat that she does look like her. I have never paid attention to that, but I just Googled it while we were talking about it. The challenge is called The Last Gasp. And it has only been...
That's kind of scary going in.
Right. Today we're going to do The Last Gasp. And
last one alive wins.
According to Dalton Ross,
the sole survivor
of EW, he says they did it twice in Palau. I'm sorry, while they were filming in Palau. They staged it in season 10 and season 16, and then they did it again in Karamoan, which was the fans versus favorites season where Cochrane wins. Yeah. Which I don't remember them doing it.
It's been such a long time. I mean...
Yeah, that's been like 10 years ago.
Yeah, because one of the cages had rust on it. I think it might have been Carla's. I was like going, all right, they couldn't get the paint all the way on that one. There's rust on that one. I mean, that's not good to.
A little tetanus. Yeah. No big deal. It could help you in this challenge. Lock it in, guys.
I guess. I don't know.
Oh my
But
God.
but no one's ever gone. Obviously, no one's ever beaten the tide. But what's the longest anyone's gone before that? Because like if you're Cassidy and you go 2 hours, you're like going, okay, I should have won.
Right?
I'm skimming through the article. It doesn't say. It doesn't say. However, obviously this had to be the longest, right? Because they literally beat the tide.
Yeah.
So
This was a record breaker.
And I think they would have kept going, but Jeff ran out of things to say.
There are some times with these challenges where you could tell that Jeff is over it. Like he just isn't into it anymore, and you're like, okay, like he's trying to get this to end. He is done. He doesn't have the time anymore.
Maybe
he's
they could
done.
have thrown some chum in the water to try. Maybe let's throw some chum. Sharks might come if you want to get out.
Well, I mean, they're out there on the water. Think about out there 3 hours of during the gameplay, but like include the time of setting it up, getting everybody ready to go. That is a long time.
It's a long day.
Yeah, and no shade to speak of. I'm sure that they had people with umbrellas on the ready. But, he probably was like, I can't ruin this tan and turn it into a burn. We got to get in, guys.
So Kayla says Jeff ran out of metaphors, and Elena says he was late for his Botox appointment.
Well, he can only say this is how you do it on Survivor.
Yeah, so many times.
So many times. It's like, okay, this is how you do it on Survivor. Okay, guys, I can't say guys. This is how you do it on Survivor.
This is it. This is the show. Let's go.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was really great. Like, truly, I didn't get I wasn't freaked out watching it. I thought it was a really great challenge.
And I'd give Carla. I wouldn't have picked Carla as the winner.
No, she's won individual immunity twice now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
to be fair, I don't know that I would have picked Owen.
Yeah, technically.
No, I wouldn't have picked Owen either. I would have gone with Cody.
Yeah, technically, Cody did not pick Carla.
Because, bro, I've been surfing my whole life, bro.
Right?
Actually, you know what? I would have picked him too, I think.
Lots of waves in Idaho.
There was a really great discussion of fans just trying to figure out in one of the Facebook groups this week, trying to figure out his accent. But it is Midwest transplant Hawaiian. So, I mean, that's literally just like
he's
Midwestern who's been hanging out with the locals in Hawaii, and that's.
I want to say he spent a lot of time watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
He's got some spagoli.
I'm going to say he spent a lot of time. Okay, I can't go to Hawaii without being cool.
Yeah, I mean, what's cool about like, hey guys, I'm from Iowa. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Is it Iowa or Idaho? Is it Iowa?
Iowa.
Okay, same thing. We'll start with that.
Anyways.
More corn. Smaller hills.
I do. When at the beginning, I felt so bad for Sammy when they came back from tribal. I go. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
It was so awkward.
I loved it. I was like, and right there, any mom that was sitting on that island, and they would go, "You're not 22." There it is.
Yeah.
No.
Because
that was so kid of him,
All he had to say was, "Yes, Carla, I voted for you because that's what they told me the plan was."
They told me right.
And
exactly.
if she says who, he could have said Jesse. And what's Jesse gonna say? That's how you stir the pot. That's how you get. Yeah. And he goes. I was misinformed. I was misled, but that's what they told me to do.
Yep.
Because he's been flip flopping anyway.
Hey man, it's worked for Owen, and he's still there.
Yeah, and his lie, his lie where he goes, he said, well, no, then he comes back and says, okay, I might as well tell the truth. It's like.
Yeah, and that was it right there. Like, we've been watching, and there's these little moments. Okay, you can see a little bit of like less life experience,
right,
coming in. So when he was like, okay, guys, actually it was me, like that right there, it was like, oh, the next time you come back to play this game, because you will, that won't happen.
Yeah.
No,
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because at first you didn't see him as you didn't see him as a 19-year-old. You said, okay, he could definitely be 22 or even older.
Yeah, no.
But as the game has dragged on and he's not getting, again, you can't be yourself, or you become yourself when you're not.
When you're hungry and tired,
and you're hungry and you can't keep your guard up. And he's definitely, the last 3 or 4 episodes, he went from here to be, okay, he has no chance to win.
Yeah.
That's why I don't understand why they voted him out, but.
Yeah.
But it was unanimous.
Glad. I'm on one hand, I'm pretty okay with the way things went. But that brings us into the conversation where Jesse was like really trying to figure out who needed to go, and this whole idea that he really wanted to put a wedge between Carla and Cassidy. But I think like a part that was missed in all of that is that, dude, Carla straight up was like, Cassidy, the wedge is already there. Like, you don't even have to get your hands dirty here. It's already there. Like,
and I wonder if in the end that's why somebody clued her in, because everyone voted Sammy, and I wonder if that's it. And the previews for next week show somebody in the voiceover telling Cassidy that Carla was coming for you. So really, they actually managed to get her to incriminate herself without actually having to pull the trigger and incriminate herself. So,
well, I think with a little dash of paranoia, being the last 2 girls out
the last 2 girls, and you're in the final 6.
Yeah, and Sammy's little nudge, that little, it was Cassie, just that little seed of doubt. Like, Jesse doesn't have to do anything. That
would have been great if Cassidy would have been a better choice if he would have said that from. Okay, yeah, Cassie's the one who told me to vote for you. That's who told me to, anybody, he could have done anything else than what he did.
Yeah.
He just can't, he should have realized, okay.
So counterpoint to that.
Every time we come back, we all talk about who we voted for. You got to be one step ahead, and he just wasn't.
Well, and counterpoint to that, though, is we've seen players do that successfully in the past. We've seen players that have actually been able to do that. Like Kayla says, I think Sammy's a douche. She was too cocky and thought he was hot poop. But again, like there's been to counterpoint that as well. Like we've seen players do that and do that successfully, like Smoother, and that I think that could just be like you guys said, attributed to his age. But I don't mind when players try to be sneaky. Because we can't, as we've seen this season, we can't just have everybody be like kumbaya. And like, I appreciated there was actually some drama in this episode.
The sneaky was great, but his lack of life experiencing and understanding once you jump in that hole, don't dig the hole deeper, just own it. And then hold the lie. Hold the lie.
The problem with Sammy is you're saying players that can do that get away with it because they're good at it. They're good exactly. Sammy has been, last 3 or 4 episodes, all we've been hearing is Sammy's a liar, Sammy's flipping, Sammy's this. They know it,
right?
So it doesn't work. It doesn't work if they know you're a flipper. They know you're a liar.
I do wonder if he comes back in a few years with more life experience, if he does do it and do it well.
I bet you
or better.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely think he would.
He's made the mistakes since the merge. I think the merge kind of threw him off, and he probably should have been under the radar for a while. Okay, whatever you want me to do. Kind of like Gabler. Gabler doesn't really. He does, but it's not like he's running the show.
Would you say he's hiding in plain sight?
Yes, exactly.
Like somebody like Jesse has obviously gotten away with doing a bit of what Sammy is doing, but he just does it better. He just does it well.
He's very, but but he's what, 30 something.
Yes.
And I don't want to say he's got a great poker face. He doesn't stress. He doesn't. Whereas Sammy's like, he's like he's being interviewed by Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes. He's just dripping in sweat.
I did not expect a Mike Wallace reference tonight, but here we are.
Yep. Taking off his glasses, rubbing his face.
Exactly. It's a great Saturday Night Live about that. Anyway, but Sammy crumbles, whereas Jesse, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's just like he goes,
and even
he'll look right at you, and that's the key. that's the key to winning the game, is you have to be able to look at somebody right in the eye and lie to them.
And as we saw,
You have to
that
be
was
able
what
to do it
that was,
and know that it's coming so that you have a counterpoint.
right.
Right.
And that was where Shan started off in 41 so great.
Yep.
And then just once she got hangry, just couldn't keep it up. Where she was trying, but like her, her hungry got to her.
Yeah.
And that's like what, like I said, we see so many players do what I think not Cody, I'm sorry. Even Cody, I think, probably could lie and roll with it. Like, I would love to see him put on the spot and see what he comes up with. He would just do? He'd be like, you want to see my ass tattoo again?
But I think Cody's a smarter player. He's a smarter player than we're giving him credit for, because when they're saying, oh, Sammy's a challenge beast, he goes, no, he's not. He sucks at the challenges. He's terrible at the
He's a challenge loser.
Yeah, challenge loser. That's what he said. And I go, you're right, because Sammy goes out like right away, and so I think he does have. But the problem is he's going to get lost between Jesse and Carla.
Yep.
Yes.
Or even, and people are going to say, oh, you were just brought along, and he wasn't brought along. He's been making decisions with Jesse, but Jesse's going to be
silent partner.
Jesse's going to be better at explaining his case.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
I just think he is too.
I agree.
I don't think Jesse's had a vote towards him. I don't know if Cody has either, but I know Jesse hasn't had a vote his way, right?
Yeah.
He's leading the way, and nobody is catching it. It's like, okay.
And even the people like Gabler. Gabler is super aware that they're leading the votes, but nobody's taking Gabler seriously.
I get, and it's like I said, I understand, okay, we're going to throw Sammy out. He's the easy choice. But now you're down to 6. There's still idols in play. How do you not go after a Jesse or Cassidy last night, opposed to going after Sammy, who couldn't win it? There was no chance in hell he was going to win it. 2
points for Sammy. When I watched it tonight, I think he is a fire-making challenge threat, and nobody wants to go against that, because even if you can beat him in the end, you don't want to be the person going against him, because then he technically can beat you in that, and you need to.
Yeah, because he's like magic.
Yes,
I get that, but
and 2, I watched specifically tonight to jury interaction when he was talking at Tribal, and they were all pretty warm and receptive to him. And I wonder if, having not seen 42 but seeing 41, where Erica pulled out a win just because people liked her, I wonder if that's also on the forefront of the minds.
Well, I think that too. I was watching it too, but I think what they were trying to say is, okay, Sammy, they're snowing you. They're trying to get you. They're trying to get you not to play
your shot in the dark.
Your shot in the dark, because which has it ever worked?
No, it hasn't. So can we be done with this stupid twist? It's dumb. It's not working anymore. It hasn't worked once. It's dumb. Let's just
end it. Like a 1 in 60 something chance that you're gonna get it?
Because Sammy actually made a good point. He goes, "My vote doesn't matter."
Yeah.
So and they're trying to talk him out of it. Even Carla was trying, and Jesse was trying. And
that's what I mean. That's where it's like he understands the game.
He's smarter than the average 19, 20-year-old that plays. He's played better than the dude that had the
potential. He has the potential to win the game. Not yet.
Yes.
Right. But exactly. And I feel like if you see a lot of if you can compare him to other players in the past that have come back. And it's like every single time when a player comes back and does far better than they did the first time around, the shift is always in the social game. It's always how they communicate to people. Because
and also
they're not going to bring people back that stumble through the game blindly.
But also every single person that comes back, always 100% of them say, you know when you're the target. You have that sense. You have that the second time around, so you can play your game better because you just know when it's you. It's harder to blindside somebody a second time that they get voted off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But to Sammy's credit, I would say he's played a better game than most of the 19, 20, 21-year-olds we've seen in recent history, right?
I said, since he's really struggled since the merge. And I think it's having more of it was more, there was more people in the group, and he did.
Yes.
He was pretty secure in his tribe.
I did listen to his exit. I try not to like listen or read Survivor analysis before we do this when we don't do it on Wednesdays because I don't want to like ever copy anybody. But I did listen to his exit interview and I read another one and Dalton Ross's and he did say that like Cody and Jesse were so good that he just never picked up on how much they were running the show. And he also said that he was really good about checking in with people, but at some point he just kind of took it for granted. And rather than going up to like Gabler was his example, like rather than going up to Gabler and saying, hey Gabler, what do you think about this? How you doing? How you feeling? He just started being like, hey, this is the vote tonight. And not like really giving him why. Whereas other players, Carla, Jesse, Cody, they were saying, hey, Gabler, this is the vote tonight, and here's why. And he sees now that he kind of got, like, lazier with it in that he didn't follow up. He just took for granted, oh, we have this relationship. Our relationships is strong. He didn't realize that the other players were working him harder.
Yeah. That makes so much sense because I got a feeling since I've had this feeling with him since Merge where his understanding of the game and all of that is like very mature. He's very intelligent. But in his social game, that's where his youth is coming through because it's like he's making his mistakes started coming up because it's like he almost didn't want to upset the wrong people for the wrong reasons.
Right. Which is such a kid thing to do.
Yes, exactly. It's like real life friendship.
I don't want to upset my parents.
Yes. Right. So I'm going to just like tell this little white lie where it's not necessary because I don't want them to get upset. But in a game that's like this and so short-lived, that little white lie, if it's placed in the wrong position, that ends your game. So you have to...
like it was said earlier, they knew he was lying.
Right. Like Jesse knows how to lie, but he knows exactly where to place that lie.
Right.
And when to hold on to it. Rather than if you're going to place the lie, you need to own that lie and you don't back away from it unless backing away from it really benefits your game. You never do it to like try to dig yourself out of the hole. You're already in it. You need to own it. Mm-hmm. Make steps out of it if you need to, but you can't.
Yeah, if I was Sammy, there's no way. If I was Sammy, there's no way I would have admitted I voted for Carla.
Nope, me either.
Yes.
After I said I didn't, I go, you guys can blame me. I didn't do it.
It wasn't so, me. Like, as Kayla says in chat, it was so awkward when you could just see, like, it was so awkward. And, like, I think you said a few minutes ago, Jack, like, you gotta have your reason that you're gonna tell people in advance, like, because somebody is going, maybe nobody's going to confront you. Maybe they're going to be mad at somebody sitting next to you and you're going to go scot-free. But you always have to be prepared for the possibility that somebody is going to be like, what the hell, man? And you need to be able to either justify it, own it, lie about it with confidence, or play it off, or deflect.
A lot of the people that win, you can see that they are, you're sitting around all day long.
Yeah.
Okay, this is who I'm going to vote for. If they get mad, they don't go home. You got to have your lies.
That was actually why I really appreciated hearing the thought process behind voting for Sammy, but letting, like, as much as, I love Carla, I would be very happy if she won, but, like, just hearing the, like, strategy behind, oh, she's my biggest competitor, one of my biggest threats to win this game. I don't want to go after her directly, but let's do this thing that might plant a seed. And I thought that even though it didn't come to fruition, it was kind of neat to see the thought process behind this in a season where we haven't really seen a lot of that thought process.
Yeah.
So that was great. And again,
you can tell with going to being 3 steps ahead or whatever. Jesse, that's Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, we're not gonna get Carla out or Cassidy out. We can mess up their game.
Mess up their game, and we can make them self-implode. Let's let them get themselves out, and then that also
will help me on the jury because they won't vote for each other.
Yeah, and I have to say that there are certain aspects to Jesse's gameplay that, to me, really reminds me of like Sandra, and the way that she would set up conflict. I mean, she is a little bit more brutal about it.
Well, Sandra's just anybody but me.
Yeah, right.
That's literally her strategy.
Her ability to like her ability to see just a little teeny touch of conflict and be able to very lightly throw dust on it and let it build on its own.
Oh yeah.
Jesse has that, and then the okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say this to this person, and then they're probably going to reply or feel like this. How do I counteract that? So, because when you hear her talk her game out loud, there's so much there that's like Jesse's, where it's like, okay, if they do this, then I need to do this. But if they come at it like this, then we're going this way. You always have to be open all the way up. Like, you have to be solid in your plan, but you have to be open to hear the clues that somebody's laying out in tribal,
right,
and be willing to move the plan if need be.
Exactly.
Every time that Sandra like has lost her game, it's because she's lost doing that. But the things that Jesse is doing is like professional Survivor playing. You know, like he's really taking the notes and he's pulling the professional moves. If he can keep going unnoticed, but I don't think he can anymore at this point. Like after last week, what we were saying, with Carla.
We know he has the idol, so he can at least survive for one more vote.
He has one ability to.
But he's not even talking about. But he's not even talking about playing it. He doesn't have to.
Because he set himself up with Cody.
He's not. That's what I'm saying. Is that why are we going after Sammy?
He has nothing.
I mean, I'm looking. If I'm like this, I'm like going, all right, guys, come on. This guy's gonna win it.
Yeah. Because
Carla's gonna win it.
Because literally, according to Sammy, he and Cody portrayed themselves so much so as not being that threatening that only Gabler's the only one that we have seen that has said anything right about how dangerous they are. And I still think that, you know, Carla and Jesse have this secret whatever where we're just not seeing it, but
having awareness at tribal is going, okay, how is this person not getting any votes?
Yeah.
Oh, they're pulling the strings. That's how they're the ones calling the shots. They're the goat, and everyone wants to bring them to the final three, or they're calling the shots. I'm going. That's how you figure it out.
He's not standing out in challenges. Like that's one thing Jesse's not doing. Yeah. He's not necessarily standing out at camp as far as being like, he never pushed himself to be the provider or the fire maker or the best swimmer or, so there's that opportunity, but he's a likable guy. Someone's got to see the writing in the sand. Carla, obviously, there's no way Carla doesn't, but I'm like you. I feel like there is something with Carla and Jesse that we're not getting that edit yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Jesse did that big talk and then went to Carla at the end and was like, hey girl, don't do that. So he knew that he had already destroyed her game, but then brought her back so she can self-implode on her own without it being like, oh, you and Cody are the ones that told me to vote that the Cassidy vote was good. So by telling her and bringing her back in, but knowing that the rumor is already going to be out there that she turned on Cassidy, like, that's genius. Does anybody else see the Jesse-Cody relationship sort of like Kim and Chelsea on One World? Remember Kim just like mercilessly like just ran that game from the merge on and nobody had a chance.
Yep. I could
and
see
she had
that.
Chelsea. I mean, Kat still thinks she had Kat, but she didn't. She had Chelsea.
So if you had, let's say, hypothetically, you had Jesse and you had Cody sitting at the end together, Cody could lay out all of the things that he thinks makes him the best choice for Soul Survivor. But then Jesse could turn around and be like, you literally only were able to do that because I this, I that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we've seen it on these shows, not just in Survivor, Big Brother too, where you have this really tight alliance of two. One's doing way more of the moves, the other one's just kind of helping pull the strings. They go to the end, and the one who's helping pull the strings makes the mistake of thinking they're higher in that like partnership than they are, and just hand their game over to the partner.
Yeah.
I kind of think these two guys could kind of be in that position. With Cody, I don't know if Cody would know when to cut Jesse.
No, I don't think so. But Jesse would know when to cut Cody. Hello, boys.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
They probably would have voted Carla out this week if she didn't win immunity.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Jesse knows I think Jesse knows he has to get rid of Carla. The only one I think that could beat Jesse is Carla.
I agree. And I would say that Cody could beat Jesse, but we haven't seen that edit from Cody that he could beat Jesse. We just haven't. We haven't seen. No. We haven't seen that many.
I think he's a better player than he gets credit for. Again, because like he said with the Sammy thing, he was quick to say, "No, dude, he sucks."
Yeah, he's a loser, man.
He's a loser, but and that's Cody and Cody's a nice guy. So if he's saying he's a loser,
yeah,
as far as challenges go,
yeah, don't sweat it. He is really not.
And you see, he didn't want to vote Sammy out. You could tell he was a little frustrated with that.
No,
so maybe he wakes up. Maybe he wakes up and something happens next week. But if you're to the point now,
but there's nowhere to hide anymore. So what is he going to do?
There's 6 people. I mean, you have to.
If Cody wants to get
Carla
rid of
and say, "Hey, we need to vote. We need to get Jesse out."
But if Cody wants to do that, he better make sure that he has an immunity necklace around his neck because Jesse has ins with everybody else.
Doesn't Cody have an immunity necklace?
He does, but he gave it to Jesse. Did Jesse give it back, or does Jesse have both their idols? He did say he gave it back. You're right.
That's what he used as his excuse to go be speaking with him. Was that he had to give his idol back?
Yeah.
That's right. You're right. You're right.
So, do you think that there's some place where Cody? Okay, for instance, when we saw Cody mention Sammy's fire making skills when they were at camp, I don't feel like that's something that was necessarily it wasn't very necessary to include that. Except for I feel like maybe that kind of gives a window into where Cody's mind is at right now. I could very easily see where Cody thought that he could pull Sammy with him to the end. Sammy would be able to beat anybody he put up next to him in fire, and he could beat Sammy. I feel like he felt confident in being able to beat Sammy, but maybe not so confident in being able to beat Jesse.
Well, here's why I've been saying for a long time. They need to mix up what the fourth and third person are battling for.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't have it a fire challenge every day. Make it a holding the pole challenge or whatever it is. Mix it up where it's not the same thing every time. Where people go, "Oh, all right," because I still don't understand why people work on their fire starting.
Make it the last gasp.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That would be an appropriately difficult task to have at the end. That shows.
I mean, it'd be hard to do it tribal. I mean, I guess you just had to have people with buckets of water throwing it on you.
Well, listen. I mean, Jeff told us himself that fire is no longer the most important thing on that island. It's a tarp. So maybe they need to make a tarp.
Maybe you have a bug eating contest, or you got to mix it up. So people got to be thinking, okay,
that nasty eat stuff thing that we don't do anymore. That's what pushed Cochran into his comfy seat towards the end. Without that disgusting.
Oh my God! Do you remember when he ate? He was just like, bugs, good. And we were like, oh my God! You just ate those like they were M&Ms. And you didn't even gag. That was so gross. I think about that sometimes, actually.
That's when you went, okay, this kid really could be a contender here at the end.
But anyway, because you said if the game is about not knowing, or sometimes you go, or it's going to go final 2, or we're doing final 3.
I would love to do another final 2. What was the last time we did a final 2? Was Tony and Wu, right?
Yeah, it's been forever.
Yeah.
And that was only because they had an extra medevac or whatever that they didn't anticipate.
No, that was only because they knew Wu made a mistake and
they knew Wu was gonna woo.
How come we haven't had a Survivor everybody that finished second place?
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Let them all battle.
Again, you've got some strong gamers.
Yeah, Survivor, forever a bridesmaid. I don't know.
But I personally am tired. I'm tired of the fire making challenge.
I am too.
I am a little tired of it too.
I don't love something that the elements can come in and screw it up for you so easily. I mean, I don't know. When you're at the very end like that, I mean, I guess that's the name of it though, right? But it does frustrate me where it's like, when it's like windy or, depending on which side you choose to sit on is really like you're both of equal stance in fire making, but you picked the wrong side because the wind hit you first.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I don't love that. But
I mean, it was fun at first because it's suspenseful and you're like, all right, but now they've done like what 5 times, whatever it is, and it's like if the players know.
Well, plus it's also sort of tainted because we also know that they only created it so Ben could go to the final 3.
Exactly, but
now if they did a spin on the fire challenge, so let's say they did the fire challenge in like the same little tiny fire challenge that we have, but let's say they did it in huge form, so it was like an actual camp size fire with like a ladder of ropes that had to be hit, something much larger.
Before the fire challenge, there's an advantage, and the advantage is one player gets a fire extinguisher.
Someone in the jury gets a fire.
Someone in the jury, yeah.
Have you played a good social game?
or you can do this. You could have where you have to ask the members of the jury personal questions. They've done that before. They haven't done it in a while, but okay, where is such and such from? It's like, okay, then you need to play. Okay, you need to have people who have actually, played a good social game.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be part of the game.
On this day, like, have something like they used to do on Big Brother, where they say like something like, on this day, this person this person's torch went out. The vote was 4-3. Who voted for who?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that would show you that you were really in the social game of knowing what moves were being made when. And if you weren't included in that move, you were able to put the pieces together after. So you had your finger on the pulse of the game.
So I mean, I'm not saying you can get rid of it completely, but you get like a group of 5 different things that it could be. And I just think it would make the game more interesting, because I shouldn't be able to go to the game thinking, okay, all right, I got to make fire because if I get chance to I have a fire challenge. It should be. They're trying to mix it up. They're trying to make it where it's not stale. It's not the same game over and over again. I think they've gone too far. But if you're going to do it, mix it up.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Right. I would try all these other mixes. Maybe mix this up. Yeah.
I would just be fine with not doing it anymore. Just good old fashioned final 2, and like everybody's thinking that they're playing for fire,
maybe
and they're not. So
maybe you have to walk hot coals or something like that, going across the hot coals.
Like Pam in The Office.
So you think that if they did
nobody saw it
all in a row. So you think that like if they went back to where it's like whoever wins that last immunity gets to pick who goes to the end with them, like you want it to go like that again?
I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Because you've gone that far. That I forget the one who went over or Ben beat. She deserved to win.
Chrissy.
Because Chrissy, she got totally blindsided on that, and it wasn't fair because obviously she wouldn't have picked Ben.
Right.
To come to the finals with her. I think if you've gone that far, you should be able to pick the 2 people. If it's final 3, then you should be able to pick the 3 people.
I agree.
I think you've earned it. It should be outwit, outplay, not what the producers want to happen.
Right.
Yes. And again, I mean, yes, Survivor Survivor has challenges, very hard physical challenges, and they need to keep those challenges difficult because they're entertaining.
Right, exactly.
But on the social aspect of it, this season has been great because we're getting, in the second half of the game, we're getting so much more social and gameplay than we've had for, I mean, it's not like there was none in the past couple of seasons, but they went from like that kumbaya place to like really all of the people that are left in the game are gaming. There's nobody left in the game that's just there. No. So I love to see that's what moves to the end. I love when there's not just a goat to bring to the end. I do appreciate that the fire making challenge does kind of pull that away a little bit, but I want to see someone play their game well enough that they can do all of these things, but still convince another person that they've done nothing and that they're no threat.
You still have strong players, like you're saying. You still have strong players left in the game.
Yes.
With 6 players, those players have deserved to go forward. And
every single one of them at this point, I feel like every single person that's there deserves to be able to plead their case at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I don't think they all can win.
Yeah.
But I think they deserve a shot at the finale.
But I do admit that I do miss having kind of like a bad guy on there to hate. We haven't had that in several seasons.
You definitely need that bad person or that crazy person.
We had like 2 episodes where we
Jesse's a villain. I mean, he's so likable that we don't notice he's a villain.
Yeah.
But is he a villain or is he just playing the game? Like,
I mean, he is, but like every single person that's like, I feel really good with Jesse and we have this bond and like, bye later.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a mom, bye, out.
Yeah.
So he is playing the game. But if he didn't have such a very like low-key, likable personality, he'd be the villain. He's the villain in this.
He's the guy next door that's destroying your life, but you don't like it.
It's like burning down your house. He's like, what matches? No.
Because he, that was Sammy.
Yeah, it was Sammy who did that. It wasn't me.
Yeah. He's that good.
But that was that's a really good player.
I almost felt bad for Owen because Owen's like going, I'm always, he was kind of upset when he went the whole penis analogy, which I thought was funny.
Did Owen really? Has he truly not been on the right side of the vote since Mariah?
Yeah, he's been not really.
It's just and if you're not on the right side of the vote, how can you say, okay, I should win? You survived. But you can't if you're on the, and he knows that. If you're on the wrong, he's smart enough to know if you're on the wrong side of the vote every single time.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, he shouldn't be saying it. A jury, he should be saying, "I'm on the wrong side of the vote every time." That was not a smart move because now the jury's like, "Oh, that's right, he is on the wrong side of the vote every time. I should be there instead of him."
I feel like
you got to be careful what you say at tribal.
You do, and I think though if you had like the perfect scene that is this is Owen's game in visual sense is when he just took his bag and lopped it on the beach and just plopped in the sand, like that's where Owen's at. I love Owen, but then he killed it to this week with this challenge. He showed, hey, I am capable of doing something. So please let me know what's really going on.
So did you see real quick? Did you see that Owen actually posted on Reddit like 5 or 10 years ago how much he loved the Last Gasp challenge and
oh, really?
Yeah. So he like actually created a thread and posted. It was going around. And apparently he was a big fan, and then he came on and won it, which I love.
You think he goes to like wave pools on his days off and like
he's that weird guy? They're like, oh, this guy's here good.
No, he goes to instead of going to the beach with a towel, a chair, an umbrella, he goes with a cage.
Yeah, he brings his own cage. Yeah. Most people have a floaty. He's got a caged floaty.
What the hell is that guy doing? He's practicing for Survivor.
He walks past the lifeguards like.
I wonder if he like.
Oh, it's okay, Owen. We got you. We know you're not drowning. We got you. We don't need a Baywatch thing.
Yeah. Anyway,
any
last thoughts? So I think we're all kind of in agreement. No, actually, no. Are we in agreement or not? Was Sammy the right choice here? Or should it have been Cassidy? Or was it genius to take out Sammy and let Cassidy and Carla self-destruct, which is kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone?
I think that it was the right move if what Jesse wants to have happen happens.
I'm a strong believer you get rid of the people that you think can beat you.
Yeah.
And Sammy, there's no way Sammy would have beat me in the game. So I just would say no.
There's a lot of girls that are going to be sitting on that jury if he's sitting next to Cassidy.
True.
Yeah.
So there is that. I think that if in his mind, if he can have Carla and Cassidy go at each other and that's how Carla's game falls apart. He can still take credit for it, if he gets a chance to defend that move.
Mm-hmm.
But without having them sit there and stew for a couple of days before they have to pick who they're voting for.
I think Sammy planted the seed about Cassidy.
Yeah.
But when Cassidy said
Agreed.
it was, yeah, I want to sit up there with you. I want us to be the final, I want us on the final three together. And Carla went, you could see it in her face. She didn't answer right away. You think she's thinking that wouldn't be good for my game.
Yeah. And
I need to get rid of you. So.
Yep.
And also, it was funny if you watch that tribal when Sammy is like talking about how he's a free agent and like he doesn't, and there's a shot he's in the back and is like,
it's actually pretty smart. Actually smart.
Yeah, Owen, Jesse, and Cody are all sitting right in front of him, and they all have this look on their faces, and they're like, "Now you're going home." Like everybody has this like smirk, and at that point, I was like, "Yep."
Again, they were trying to get him not to play his advantage. I mean,
and I think
he was smart enough to know that it doesn't matter. It doesn't know.
Right.
My vote doesn't matter.
Yeah, you guys aren't voting with me, so I'm gonna just say myself.
I'm going to do what I need to do.
Even if you sold it all Cassidy, his vote didn't matter.
Nope.
Yeah.
So he was smart. He was smart to play because they were all like going. You saw all their faces when they it's because they only have one note.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the notes say not safe.
Not safe.
Every single one of them.
Again, if they should be able to pick one. And show, there was one that said you were safe.
Just to prove it's there, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying the producers wouldn't do that, but it's like, okay, do we want Sammy in the finals? No.
Right. They could technically.
Yeah, all I'm saying before we move on.
Sammy, pick this one.
All I'm saying before we move on is if Ben was playing the shot in the dark, there would be 6 out of 6 of those scrolls would have said safe.
Exactly.
Yep. There would have.
I mean, be honest with you, that's what actually, and I liked Ben. I had picked Ben, I liked Ben, but that's really what hurt Survivor.
It did kind of lose a bit of credibility that season.
It did lose some credibility.
You're like, we
lost a lot of fans.
We all liked Ben, but like he didn't deserve to get idols placed under his pillow. Like at the end of the day, like
what's in my shoe? I'm gonna put my shoe on. Oh, it's an idol.
I have a rock in my shoe. A rock with an idol on it.
Where did this new tattoo come from?
I mean, everyone loved Ben's backstory, and I think that's really where they started with backstory. Showcasing backstories, but Survivor hurt themselves with that move. And I think. Like
I'm sorry that you didn't pick people that you all thought were likable enough to have a story to go to the end, and you had to have this one guy. But they also did that with Crazy Mike from Blue Collar or whatever it was. Yeah. That they kept.
Oh yeah.
He just immunity'd his way to the end, but they also yes.
They kind of had a.
Anyway, I wish they'd go back to letting at a certain point there should be no idols.
No idols. Now it's your game. You got yourself here. How strong is it?
You got yourself to the final 10. Now it's up to you to win the game.
Yes.
And I think I think a lot of fans would come back to watching. I mean, remember this thing, that Super Bowl year, they had like 50 million people watching Survivor.
And
you don't have that.
And I would also add that they do need to take some of these physical competitions and they need to make them a little bit, not saying that they're not challenging. I couldn't win most of them. But they need to make them at least appear a little more high risk. We are now, like, if you look at Survivor and the first half of Survivor, and look at what the general level of tolerance for violence and like terrifying things on television, what it was compared to like post AMC and where we are now and HBO and all of that. I think viewers want a little bit more sense of danger. Everybody feels comfortable now. We don't have that sense of danger. Like the first time the medvac came in, we're like, oh my gosh, like this is,
they're really out there surviving.
So I think maybe a little touch of that. And just one last note on Jesse. I just wanted to say with where maybe it was the right move with Sammy is the fact that Cody was all like, oh no, and trying to convince him that Sammy didn't need to go. That might have been something that really convinced Jesse that he did need to go.
Yeah.
Because Sammy does, or at one point did, have lots of discussions with Gabler. You know, whether he stopped doing so great at that or not, but he did at some point.
Well, and also, that's a great point. Like, he has to also factor in that people might try to make last-minute moves. And Gabler, we saw him talking to Owen. We don't know who else he was talking to. But it's very possible that Gabler wanted to make a move and had a final three that included Sammy. And you want to, you know, if you want to take out the legs of your perceived threats, like of your enemies. And if he could...
like you said that Colleen, you said that Gabler is the only one that we've heard say that Jesse and Cody are running the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
When does he go to
he went to Carla last week. Remember, he went to Carla and said.
But towards the end, he said, you know, Jesse didn't win immunity. This would be a great time to blindside him.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that
he's coming after you. He had Sammy. Sammy would have gone with him to stay in the game. You know, Gabler is he's talking a good game. Yep. But he's not.
He doesn't have the numbers. He doesn't have the.
Either people don't trust him, or he's like, okay, I want to make final three. I want to stay in the game a little longer. Something could happen. He's not really playing. At this point, he should be aggressive, I think.
And one thing we have seen is that Jesse clearly has the ability to talk pretty much anybody that's there into doing what he wants them to do, except for Sammy. Because Sammy will inevitably be like, that's a great plan, and then turn around and be like, I'm going to go tell everybody else we're going to do something different.
That's true. He was also a wild card, too, that getting rid of the wild card.
A wild card.
But, you know, Again, that's... Gabler went to Carla last week, said, I think we got to get, you know, Jesse or Cody out. And that's also why I think that Jesse and Carla's a good player. Like, I think that...
She's an excellent player.
And I think that that's also part of why they might have this, like, you know, secret thing that we're not super seeing. You know, is in general, where she might have gone off and given, without us knowing, a warning sign to Jesse, hey, Gabler's onto you. He knew that Gabler and Sammy, you know, were tight from day one.
Then why not vote out Gabler?
Because I'd rather sit next to Gabler at the end than Sammy. Sammy can probably articulate himself better, right?
I wouldn't sit next to. I would feel fine sitting next to either one. but if Gabler's the one, trying to screw up your game.
But if he doesn't have anybody there, then you know what's he going to do? Get up to the end and be like.
But if he keeps, Sammy has no credibility.
Neither does Gabler, though.
But Gabler, but Gabler was never really called a liar.
That's true. Sammy had no credibility, but again, Sammy was a threat to fire. So if it comes down to Gabler wins immunity at the end, maybe he takes Sammy, and then it's what, you know.
I'm sure Gabler's pretty good at starting fire too. So.
But maybe. But we saw that Jesse, like everybody tonight, acknowledged on some point or another that Jesse. Yeah. That Jesse is good at fire. So what?
They were just sitting at the edit saying, "Okay, no surprise here."
What's to stop this? Okay, let's say just hypothetically, Cassidy goes home tonight, and then what's to say? Let's say at 4, maybe Carla goes home next week. They trick her into not playing the idol, and at 4, Gabler wins, takes Owen because his choice is Owen or Sammy. He knows Sammy can make fire. Maybe Owen's like 50-50 at it, and then Sammy is the one that knocks out either Jesse or Cody.
And Gabler wins.
Yeah. So, well, but again,
But I'm saying, but Gabler's not playing that kind of game.
That we've seen.
To me,
who knows?
If I'm sitting there, I'm like going. I go to Carla. Look, Jesse is running the show. He's gonna win the game. You have to. I mean, maybe he said that and we haven't seen it. But again, that's what what bugs me about Survivor too is we're not seeing all the strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this season especially, we're not seeing a lot of strategy this season, which clearly it's there, but it's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
We know Gabler talked to Carla just before they went to go vote last week,
and then nothing came of it this week.
No, nothing. And so, to me, it's like okay. And Gabler, he's not stupid. He's a smart guy, and again, he knows who's running the show. You go to the people. You go to Owen. You go to Sammy. How come you get to these people that you've been with the whole time? Let's vote Jesse.
Well, go back to Sandra. And how is it that Sandra won her game against Russell? Because she was the only one that saw his game. She's the only one that saw what he was doing.
And she
was
countered
never
it.
duped. She would go along with whatever move he wanted, pretending like she had no idea. But she was the only one who knew when he was bluffing, when he was stirring the pot. She knew what he was doing, and she saved it to the very end. So whoever's if Gabler's got that same kind of mentality where he sees where Jesse's at, and he's the one going to Owen, and he's the one that's going to Carla and saying, hey, you've got to see the writing in the sand. That's his winning move.
But Russell was
there's
also
always one person where it's like, if you can take this, there's
Russell.
always the best player, the one who's making the biggest, riskiest, best moves. There's always that player, and then there's the one that sees that player. And the one that sees that player usually will be a winner over the one making the best moves.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to take that best move
but
out.
I think too, in this game too, you also have to be likable.
And
Russell's just so abhorrent.
Not that Sandra is the most likable person.
She's not warm and she wasn't warm and cuddly. No,
but she was better than Russell.
She may not be warm and cuddly, but she does command a certain amount of respect for herself. Whereas Russell is just an abhorrent human being.
Russell thinks he's better, and again, his first time around, I vote Russell hands down. He to me, he played the best game. He set the tone for how the game is played. The second half from Richard Hatch, he didn't win because they didn't like him, because he kept telling people, "I'm better than you." Nobody wants to keep hearing how I'm better than you, especially when you're not eating and in real life. I don't want to listen to a person like that.
Well, and it's so great because somebody like Sandra can say, I'm actually better than you. But she can say it in a way where people are like, oh, I think you might be.
Yeah.
Well, she's brutally honest, but she's got that way about her that,
she just commands respect. Like,
I mean, I'll be honest, the first time around, I go, she can't win. She's too honest. She tells people she doesn't want to. But they voted for her.
Or my favorite moment when she was in this last season of Australia, when she just straight up at camp asked somebody how they spell their name. Like, nobody else can do that.
That's amazing.
You spell it with a Y or an I?
Well, Sammy must have told people how to spell his name at some point too, because only Carla got it wrong. Everybody else spelled Sammy right, and he spells Sammy not a very
it's not tricky,
popular way. Sami or whatever it is. Like, it's not a it's not a common way.
I'm sure if you're sitting around at camp, people. So.
Or maybe they painted their names on the flag or something like that.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I always thought people maybe write the name down incorrect. Like, maybe not this part of the game, but the first part of the game, people are always misspelling it and trying to change their handwriting as if everyone there's a handwriting expert.
Right.
I know that you voted for me.
Right.
I know you have a fancy F. I know that.
I thought it was you, but you know how to spell my name, so that clearly wasn't you that voted for me.
Okay, so we got to move on. However, just to wrap this out so I can have the last word, I had this theory that, we've got secret alliance between Sammy, I'm sorry, I just got very loud because I had to shift in my chair, that Sammy and, Jesse and Carla have a secret alliance that we're not seeing. Well, I don't know. I just saw his Instagram story, and it's of the two of them, and it's got some quote on it, which I've kind of forgotten already. I'm so sorry. But it's inspirational, and I think that it proves my point that the two of them had, had each other's backs. Anyway.
Long live the roses that grew from the concrete. Is it that one?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't think that's possible.
Yep. Well, I think that's the whole point, is they defy the odds and grew from the concrete.
Yeah, yes.
Were both Carla and Jesse are Cowell, right?
Carla is
Berkeley.
Yes, and Carla's from
Berkeley.
San Diego, and Jesse's from LA.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, I'm rooting for Carla because she's from the right city.
You mean the correct city?
Well, she's from the city that people would rather go to than the crap hole that LA is.
She's from the one with breathable air.
Yes, exactly.
And only
She's from the one where you don't
slightly
actually
terrible
see the
traffic.
air.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. As to we have no feedback this week.
What?
We do not have any feedback. I don't know. Mandy has the flu.
You know what? I don't care.
Oh, feel
I
better,
don't care.
Mandy.
Mandy has the flu.
You know-
Shandy is 2 weeks behind, so she's not caught up.
Matt, I don't want to hear Mandy has the flu because Matt podcasted for an hour and 50 minutes with COVID yesterday.
You know something?
So-
Amanda and I also both podcasted with COVID as well.
I did one too. It's a group now. It's a group thing.
There we
what
go.
is
Doing it.
what is COVID? I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not going there.
I'm being for real. It might not have been my best work though. So there's.
I had, again, I hate to keep saying it. I have super immunity, and COVID was not. It just.
Says the man that literally just got over RSV that turned into pneumonia that turned into a sinus infection.
Again, it's not COVID.
Just one thing after another.
I'm sorry.
The little COVID ball goes up. Nope, it's Jack.
Which one of the three of us was so hopped up on decongestants on Thanksgiving that they dropped the tongs in the air fryer and then forgot they did that?
What, the handle?
Yeah.
No, I didn't drop. No, hold on a second. I didn't. No, you're being misleading here, Jesse. I didn't drop it. I had cleaned out the thing, the fryer,
I love it.
and left the handle in there. But my head was pounding so hard when I poured the oil in, I didn't see it. And then I spent a half hour looking for it, but luckily I had pliers. So.
We get there and Jack's got the pliers and he's just like, my head hurts so bad. I think they're in there, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think they might have been in there.
I mean, I'm just going to go out there and do a PSA that if your head hurts so bad you can't see the boiling oil, don't do it.
To be fair,
I didn't put my hand in the oil.
He got tongs.
And the turkey, I'm gonna say
turkey was really good. I was kind of bummed we didn't take any home. It was very delicious this year.
Yeah, it was.
God
we had it for 2
miracles.
days after that, so it was like.
Ooh.
It was good.
Good times. Okay, so as far as our preseason picks go, all three.
I do like the fact that you were out there talking to me because you were blocking the sun at one point. It was perfect.
Oh, you're welcome. It was so nice out. I don't understand why
the
everybody
sun
was
hurt
inside.
in my eyes.
So she was like, you were like Jeff's umbrella person.
Exactly.
Like you could have been like, listen, guys, 3 hours, we're done. Go back to camp.
Okay, we have now gone for so long that
this
we
is
need.
how you cook a turkey on Survivor.
Okay.
This is how you do it.
All right, this show is running long. We're gonna stop right here. We're gonna put a commercial break in because
suck it up.
Here we go.
The balls are dropping.
Okay, here we go for real.
No, I took those out.
Shh.
Thank God.
A commercial is going right here. Be quiet for a second. Okay, we're back. All right, here we go. Everybody had everyone had Sammy going out pre-merge, so none of us sadly got points for that. However, I put points on Sammy going home this week, and you guys didn't, so I win.
You guys did. Too
Wow,
bad for you.
That's not how you win Survivor, being Russell Hantz.
Jamie had Gabler.
You because I picked Sammy.
Jack was so close.
Jury management.
So close with Cassidy. I'm going to have to, next week, before we do this, I'm going to have to ask Jay what the rules are for, how we do different points for the final episode.
Well, it's not the finals next week, is it?
No, but for next week when we do tally the votes, I'm going to have to ask Jay what it is, because, gosh,
next week's the final for the Amazing Race.
Oh, well, that's lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you watch Amazing Race, Jamie?
Yeah, this has been a fantastic season.
Did you want to go to Iceland after that?
Yes, so
I want to
much.
go to
I wanted
Iceland
to go jump in
after
that water.
everyone on my Facebook.
Oh my
has been
God,
there.
I would love to go to Iceland.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Like
Um,
icebergs and volcanoes at the same time? Sign me up.
I can swim.
You guys are killing me. Okay, listen, Jack. Just so you know, Raya, we Air Iceland newly started going to and from RDU, so they've actually had some really great deals. I know
Really?
2 people who have gone to Iceland taking advantage of it. One is somebody that used to work in the same building I did, and then the other one is one of my geocaching friends. But they took advantage of the Air Iceland deal, so if you want to do that.
Just what we saw yesterday, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, what I want to go there.
Iceland is Reykjavik, right? Yes, I know that. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not Iceland. Iceland. It is Iceland. Yes.
Iceland.
My sister did Iceland when she came back from Germany. She went to Oktoberfest 7 years ago.
Ooh.
But she did it. That was when they were purposely doing the 24-hour layovers in Iceland. And she did that so she could spend a day in Reykjavik and do the Aurora Borealis and whatever that was. Not whatever that was. I know what that is. But she did that.
I want to go snorkeling in freezing cold water.
I don't.
Yeah, it looks pretty amazing. I'm gonna say it was really beautiful.
It was, and the water was so crystal clear. It was just like, oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do we think is going out next week at 6?
I'm gonna say Sammy.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, how many times did I pull that kid's name to be going home, and how many times I was wrong? And then the one time I'm like,
to be fair, you've done it a lot.
I think I talked you out of it because I said Cassidy. I think you switched, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought Sammy at first, but then I was like, no, he just keeps staying.
Well, at this point, Carla has an idol, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carla, Jesse, and Cody have idols.
Cody has an idol, and so does
Jesse.
I think, depending on who wins, and Cassie's really good at the challenges, but I say the vote would have to be Cassidy. I mean, but again, who knows? I mean, it could be Gabler, but to me, why vote Gabler? I would vote Cassidy. But if she wins immunity, then it comes down to who plays their idol, and then if they all play their idol, then Gabler gets kicked to the curb.
No, that's a good point. You think he gets Sarita out?
I don't think they vote. The only way they vote Owen out is because they're worried about him winning challenges.
And I don't think they're worried enough. Honestly, I don't think they're worried enough.
No, so I'm gonna say Cassidy could win it. She needs to go home.
Okay,
I don't think she's a poor choice. I lean more towards Gabler because I feel like Cassidy has.
You have Gabler very frequently as well.
Yeah, but I think with Cassidy, if it's an endurance, okay. Gabler has shown that he was able to do upper body endurance, so he has that in the bag. He can push through maybe with that. As long as he is dedicating every minute to somebody else, he can do it.
Oh my God!
But Cassidy, okay, here's my theory on Cassidy. I think after this week, when she made it 2 hours and then didn't finish, and the look of just being so upset with herself, I don't think she's going to let go. I think Cassie is going to pull off an immunity. So I'm going to go with Gabler.
Gabler again, all right.
Aren't we due for a puzzle challenge? How is she in the puzzle challenges?
Probably better than Gabler.
We're due for a puzzle challenge, I think.
Well, the final 4 challenge is usually the one that's incredibly insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. As long as I mean, the only thing I feel like at this point I couldn't really say who would have a good chance in it, or maybe Gabler would have the best chance, is the ball rolling, simply because he's got the arm length to navigate that a little bit better.
Oh, that one where you have your hand tied behind your back.
Well, where we have the multiple Yeah. Yep, I'm gonna stick with Gabler. I'm going with Gabler.
It's too early for that one.
Yep, that doesn't happen until 3 or 4, doesn't it?
Right, yeah.
This is really tough because
Again, that could be a final that instead of fire making challenge, have that one. There's no real advantage. It's not a matter of strength. It's a matter of
they have
hand coordination.
A really similar challenge like that at the end of last season in Australia. It's the same thing as the ball rolling, except for it's like a big platform, so you have to run up it and then drop it, and then run back down the stairs and get it.
Oh, really?
So it's the same kind of thing, just bigger.
That's more physical.
Yeah. It's way less of a mental catch. Yep.
Okay, so Jamie, your final answer is Gabler.
Yes, ma'am.
Jack, your final answer?
Cassidy.
And honestly, I'm kind of on the Cassidy ship too. I think if she doesn't win, she's gone.
Yeah.
And that makes me sort of sad.
I just think she's going to win it. That's what
it'd be the smart move, but I would get rid of her just because she'd be tough. She'd be tough to beat.
What is it? They go to 5 before they can know. Like, when they're down to 5, is that the last tribal they can use their immunity?
Yes.
I wonder if we're just going to get like everyone just uses their immunity like at 5, because no one's used it. Has anybody played their immunity at all this season?
Because the people that have it aren't getting voted. They're not. Yeah. They're not getting votes. Again, you got to look at who's not getting votes.
Well, once you're down to the only people that are playing have immunity, you're risking your game on rocks, and that gets pretty scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Wild thought. What if I, for the sake of making it interesting, went with Carla?
Hate it. Yeah, Carla. Again, if Carla doesn't win immunity,
she's dangerous right now.
If I'm Jesse, I'd take her out.
I think that this is the time to take her out. If she isn't looking to play for her idol, then you got to take the chance.
Yep.
I mean, Carla's more of a threat, I think, to win than
she's
Cassidy.
More of a threat, but I love her, so it actually really hurts me to vote to put her dang down right now. But I could see it being Carla just as easily as I could see it being Cassidy. So
also, I would like to say that if Carla does go out and doesn't make it as the winner, you didn't lose out on Carla points entirely. So there's that.
That's a good point. And I could see, like I said, I don't know. I don't think I don't get the impression that Cassidy is going to win, because we've gotten a better edit from Carla and Gabler over Cassidy. Like, out of the people left, Cassidy and Owen are the two that have gotten almost nothing, right?
I think Cassidy's the only woman left.
You think Cassidy's the last woman standing?
I think if she's the last woman standing, then she has a really good chance to win.
Very true.
And I think Carla, because you saw Carla's face. Carla was like, yeah, I can't have her sitting next to me.
Because Carla sees that being the last woman is a benefit to her taking a win.
Exactly. Especially with all the women on the jury. Not to say that they would vote that
way. But if you are going to go for Carla, it's now, because she's going to play her idol at 5.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Jesse is smart enough to see it, and I don't think that Cody is gonna talk him out of it by any means. So
yeah.
And Carla has proven she's good at the challenges. So
yeah,
you got to. I mean, so is Cassidy. So you have to.
Well, that's
like you said. Someone said earlier, Jesse has not proven that he's not. I don't think he's won a challenge, has he?
I don't think so either. I don't think. No. Jesus. Okay, so here we go. We got Jamie's got Gabler, Jack has Cassidy, I have Carla, and that is where we stand. Jack. That is where we stand going into next week. Your grandson Zach kept asking if he could make his next week's pick for you, but I got him to go upstairs before he killed your game.
Oh, he could have done that.
He killed your game.
He could have done that.
We've all had a fair shot at killing his game. You might as well.
That's true. All right.
Cool with that.
Everyone, on that note, I think this is our longest episode of the season, but we finally had a lot of things to talk about game-wise, so great job, guys. I'm looking forward to talking to everybody next week.
Like a 45-minute episode.
Oh, we really were. Next week, we're either...
I blame Jamie.
We don't know what date we're going to be doing it next week. It more than likely will be Thursday, more likely than not, but pay attention to the Facebook group for the information. And if we do end up going on Thursday instead of Thursday, it would be earlier than our normal start time. If we end up doing it on Wednesday, most likely it'll be a little bit later than our our normal start time. So just pay attention for the announcement next week.
And then we move into finale week.
And then and then we have 2 months off. So, all right, on that note, everybody.
We have the 3-hour episode.
Ugh, I hope not. I hope it's not 3 hours. It's so late. I'm so old.
Not our episode. I'm saying the Survivor. We know it's
I know.
Hours.
We're gonna have to do it right after the show, though, guys. So get a pot of coffee. Put on your best beach wear.
Yes, I will not make the mistake I did during the 2020 season, the Tony win.
Oh, that was no mistake. That was just a joy. That was a joy.
I didn't know it was so long, okay? In my defense, I didn't know.
Say, if you make that mistake, I will also make that mistake.
Well, give me heads up and I'll make that mistake too.
So we're just going to be like mistaken?
Maybe we should come up with a mistaken drinking game for the LA finale, like the in-person questions, like how many stupid questions, how many Cochrane sightings, how many Sia things, who's gonna win.
Here's the thing.
Boston Rob has another book.
Yeah. Who's gonna propose to who?
If you do that and everybody makes a mistake, then you too can be hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. All right. We're going to end it there, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you to the patrons, especially the ones that contribute a certain level, and that would be Eckhart Rigner, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with a Plan, and Ed the Creepy Poopy Head Mailman. We guys, thank you so much. If you'd like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/JandJack. If you want to send us any feedback, you can either join us live, or you can email us SurvivorJJC@gmail.com. Clearly, the only stipulations for hosting this show on the regular is to have the initial J or C.
It is important. It's
very important. Okay, we have a brand. Anyways.
You can just borrow a J, too. If it's like for a day, you could borrow one.
You could be Joe. Or Jamie, and she'll go by Joe. I mean, really.
It's like Wheel of Fortune. I'd like to buy a J.
All right, everybody. On that note, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Bye.
Peace out. See you next week.